In this video we have a bit of a teardown. Nick, who had the Samsung monitor that I fixed, dropped this in. And it's one of these fancy power boards. I think some of these are around a couple $100. They've got the surge protection. What is it? A Monster Power. So this is a proper Monster Cables branded one. Got a date on this thing. It looks like we might have decoding. That's another thing. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I wonder if it's 2010. Would that be? We've got the 10th month because that's 12 of them. Oh yeah, this is the month and the date. 18th of October 2010 by the look of it. Tele permit. So it's probably got to be permitted too because it's got a, I believe, telephone. Yeah, in, out, supposed surge protector, 2400 watts, which is 10 amps, which is all you can get through one of these sort of plugs, and what these sockets are rated for. Clean power circuitry, power center HT 800, of course it says Monster Power there. Accessories, so it actually says what's meant to plug into each one, not that it's going to matter. Earthed and protection on. Oh, and that's right, we've got a couple of aerial in and out. I think he said it's making a, I've got a reset circuit breaker. That's if you overdo your 10 amps rating. And I think he said it was making a funny noise or something. So maybe it's got some sort of switch mode in it. I just assume these, well, most of the basic ones were just surge protectors, MOV, metal oxide varistor things. And yeah, if someone like dropped the tree on the power lines or something, they'd certainly work. And probably protect some stuff. Usually they just short out, often they get blown to bits themselves, but they blow the fuse or whatever before any damage is done or anything. I actually repaired some stuff for a girl who lived in a unit and some roofing iron, I think, on a few houses down this hill. This is in Lutana, suburb of Hobart. And yeah, it cops a lot of wind there, blows across from sort of Mount Wellington and hits Lutana right up this hillside, and someone's roofing had come off and hit the power lines, and several of these units basically got hit by 30 kV or something coming in down the 240. And one lady's unit, yes, I think everything in it was pretty well open circuit. Fuses, power transformers, I think one of them might have been her or someone else actually, I think had an open circuit hot water cylinder of all things. And this young lady, I think, was next door or a couple of doors up. She got me in to have a look for insurance purposes. And she actually had a hole. She showed me the switchboard with the circuit breakers. It was actually a hole welded, burnt through the side of the metal casing on that. So it must have just arced through or something. Never seen anything quite like that, but it actually burnt a blackened sort of hole through the side of the metalwork, which is only pretty thin, in the sort of meter box type thing. But in her unit, she actually had a Samsung television, just a little portable one, and that had one of these, just a small MOV in it, and it was completely vaporised. I think the fuse was just blown to pieces as well, literally vaporised metal and broke the glass, just blew it to bits. Vaporised that, but it saved everything else in her apartment, surprisingly. Or at least, I don't know if it was how many circuits they had, but whatever other electronics were there, that's all she actually had damage to. I just cleaned it all up, put a new MOV and fuse in it. I think I had to change the fuse holder in it as well. I think that was burnt. And that fixed her one, whereas the unit next door, no MOV in anything. And that was just a little MOV, and it had completely vaporised and just left a sort of black stain on the board where it used to be, more sort of black and metallic. Silvered black, I guess. So they are quite effective, these MOV things, at being sacrificial. Oh yeah, it does make a funny noise. It's got a cricket in it. It's not much different to the Dick Smith electronics kit you could build to make a cricket sound. So it's definitely chirping. Sounds like the crickets you get here, which I forget what the hell they're called. Big funny looking things they are that drill a hole in the ground. And this has got these, I think they're the single use screws that they turn inwards. Yeah, that's the one. So you can turn them clockwise because they've got like a half head on each side, flat blade, but when you try to turn backwards it's a slope. So they're designed not to be repaired usually a drill which will actually make them so hot they'll melt through before you actually get them out, but we may have to do that. The rest are Phillips. But yeah, these are the sort of thing Harvey Norman don't make a lot of profit on their, and those sort of electrical retailers on their televisions and stuff anymore, so they always try and flog you some of this sort of stuff, which they do have an enormous markup on. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Just trying to think if there's any other way we could possibly get them out. I don't think there is. You could possibly drill out these holes. Is there any point? Probably not. I think my drill's even got a 1/8 drill bit or thereabouts, which I should know the metric for, which I'm not sure what it is. 4 mil or something? No, it'd be less than that. 3 mil. I don't think you're even going to be able to get a drill onto these things. Yeah, it's going to lock the drill's going to catch in there. I think they might be. They feel like they're stainless steel as well. I think we might have it. Oh, we did have it. Not very good for your drill bit either if you get it too hot. Usually feel, yeah, it's drilling inwards, it's sinking. Are we going to be able to sink it through? Yeah, there we go. You just push it through, and yeah, luckily it hasn't come out the front or anything. So you just heat them up until they melt the plastic. A little hard to start, but there we go. Whoop, slipped off that one and wrecked the plastic. Alright. Whoops, I think we came out the front on that one. Good thing I'm not repairing it for someone. And where's the last one? Or did I already do that one? Who knows? Oh, we've jumped off it again. That's going to be an issue. They're really horrible things to get your drill into. I guess we could try, if we drill the hole bigger, you probably take out the surround around it. Oh, it doesn't quite let go. Yeah, that was one of the ones, yeah, that's the one I drilled through the front, so I've jumped off that. Can we just force it? Yeah, I think we might have to drill them out. That might be big enough. I've got a 10 mil if it isn't. But kind of ridiculous. They're expensive, but not made to be repaired. Is that enough to let it go? No. In theory, if you break the walls, the head will just be holding the bit of plastic that was at the bottom. Of course, the problem with doing this, it makes it kind of unsafe to put back together. Yeah, that basically drills out the whole mount. I haven't quite got it completely gone. There we go. And where's the other one? Down here, I think. That's not like it should happen. So there you have it. Making sure we unplugged it, of course, because this is all live stuff. Or when it's plugged in anyway. All these bars, well, earth will be alright, but active and neutral, they just go one to the other and an earth, so that's probably got some sort of MOV or otherwise to ground. Can be handy because your television antenna could either get hit by lightning, pretty rare, but a nearby lightning strike could induce sort of voltage into it. It wasn't unheard of for tuners to die in TVs and stuff even without a direct strike. And that's, yeah, basically the old bit that we've chewed off. That one's fallen off for some reason, even though the screw's still in there. I guess the force of the drill And yeah, there's our horrible little screws. Yeah, that one's melted right in. Yeah, that one too. So they've gone down into the bit they screwed into. Not much point even taking them out now because I can't put the thing back together. But just to annoy the people that put them in there, I'm going to take it out because I'm going to defeat it. Yeah, that'll show them. So yeah, we've got something going on here. That's your phone stuff, so that doesn't even seem to be connected to ground. That's pretty dodgy. Because telephone lines are another thing that got hit, lightning hits the ground and it goes up your phone lines. Full of dust anyway, so I've never seen one of these actually used with the phone lines. Mainly because they're never near the power point most of the time, so we've got fuses. We've got bridge rectifier, a couple of transistors, or more bridge rectifiers by the look of it. So what are they using that for? The DC, I don't know, I might have to have a look at that. If I can be bothered, and see what the actual circuit is there. Or are the diodes just arranged? No, they usually use some sort of gas discharge thing because the phone line's 50 odd volts. Usually it's an earth wire to ground, and then either line of the pair came in, went to this little 3-terminal device, which is two like gas spark gaps, gas-filled spark gaps, I guess. And when the lightning hit, that gas would arc and short it to ground. But at lower voltages and stuff, it wouldn't do anything. Wouldn't conduct at all, of course. So a bit like a fluorescent tube or something that gets an arc up when you put enough voltage across it, and that is where all the current goes. So if you don't put a ballast on a fluoro tube or other type of gas discharge lamp, that's exactly what happens. It becomes a short circuit. So that's the power switch. So what on earth is making that noise? Oh, is it? Oh, it wouldn't be the transformer. This thing doesn't have a beeper in it, does it by any chance? There's a big thing in white fiberglass under there. I guess we better unsolder the switch terminals. Is it just 4 of them? Looks like it. Because I don't know what could possibly be making that noise, really. Looks like we've got just a normal line filter, inductor, a couple of caps like a pi filter or whatever. Standard thing which stops a bit of RF interference and stuff, but not much else. Certainly not worth $200. So where do these go? We've got two earth wires back up here. Yeah, they're just in parallel with these, so what you plug into them, like I say, just silly to label them a particular way, but I guess that's what people want. Makes it look a bit more professional, but they're all just wired in parallel. Always interested to see what sort of shonky stuff is going on with a lot of these. Basically sold as hi-fi accessories and stuff to the gullible usually. But some of them do actually have a bit of stuff in here, but do we? I guess that's probably our MOV. I wonder if that's MOVs under there. And they're put in a bit of fiberglass in case they explode everywhere. And look, those things do work, but they're certainly not worth the sort of price they're charging for these things. So what have they done? They bent the terminal over here. I think this thing's really not designed to come apart. I think we're going to need a lot more heat too. That seems to be sucking the heat away quicker than the soldering iron wants to provide it. It's got some massive terminals on this switch. What have they done here exactly? Sometimes a bit of fresh solder on there with a bit of flux really gets the heat in there, which is why I'm sticking new solder on something I'm unsoldering. Can't even start to suck it off. That doesn't sound too good. They really didn't want anyone working on this stuff, I think. Probably they didn't want people seeing what's actually inside their stuff. because then everyone can work out how much of a markup they're making on this, which is thousands of percent, no doubt. Oh, there we go, we're getting there. I wonder if that's some sort of, I wonder if there's a lead-free solder or something, because that's sure acting weird. And the poor old Hakko, not made for massive jobs, but it should handle this no problem. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Oh god, they are well soldered on. The only standard sort of size pins, they should undo easily. There we go, something's happening now. That's more like it. That one's loose. That one, there we go. Yeah, it does have quite big pins on it, but I shouldn't. Oh, there is a beeper. There you go. I was going to say, it sounds like a piezo. Oh, we've got that's exactly the sort of gas discharge thing. Is it 3 terminal? That's only a 2 terminal, but that's what your phone line should have on it. So they are LEDs, not neons or anything, so that's probably why we've got something. So what on earth does the beeper do? Or is that designed to make a horrible noise and make you think it's gone crazy? So you throw it away and buy another one. This I've got to see what's... Oh, here we go. What on earth they got here? Is this some special metal oxide device? Of course, the earth wire's in the way. I'll have to remove that too. Yeah, that's got to be lead-free solder, I think. Come on. You son of a... So the wire's as hot as hell, but the solder won't melt. The plastic's going to melt on the wire first, I think. There's something weird going on with this stuff. Okay, there we go. EV something or other. 1, 2, 3, 4 terminals on that one. And there's something, oh, we've got some thermal fuses as well. In out, live out. Yeah, I think we've got 2 thermal fuses and maybe even a 3rd thermal fuse shoved in between, maybe to protect those. So maybe it's a TF1 and TF2. Oh, I'm off to see if I can work out what they are. I've never seen those devices before. Now I've got to try and work out where the actual mains goes. Oh, I see, it comes across a link. That's not a very good circuit board design, really. No, well, that link comes in to there. Then we've got the 2. Now that's the power cord in that side. They come out. That link. Oh, it goes through the filter. So this will be the line on one side. And I assume that's the one on the other side, maybe. And that's going into one end of this thing. That's going into one end, the other end. Yeah, then it comes out to these 2 things, which I assume is, yeah, active and neutral. So wait, there's 2 of these things. Where's the other one? It must be 1, 2, 3, 4. They're in parallel. Where are these fuses connected to? Oh, they connected... Two pins there, so they're shorted out. Oh no. Oh, I see. So the mains comes down. That's not a terminal. That's a thermal fuse, a white thing in there. Then it goes into that unit Then it's got a couple of, some of these internal pins are joined together. I think there's possibly another thermal fuse in there somewhere. A gas discharge to earth, so at least it does have a gas discharge to earth. But you would think these, if they're MOV type things, should go to earth themselves. Yes, that's a little strange. And then we've got, what on earth? So that thing, oh, I've got a resistor, 100k resistor. That is what, active in or neutral in, one or the other. Active, I think. Active comes in, we've got a diode to rectify it. 100k resistor goes to a transistor. That's the neutral side, I think. Yeah, that goes to neutral. Okay, so there's other transistor here. So what were these lights? Earthed and protection on. I don't think either of those lit up, did they? So I don't think even the earth one lit up, which is a bit of a worry. So transistor capacitor, I don't know if that's some sort of crude oscillator. LD1 surge, LD2 ground. So that looks like a metal oxide varistor position. Oh, we can leave that earth wire. It only goes to the outlets. Oh no, that goes to the board from the outlets. Let's try it without an earth, maybe. Again, being very careful because this is all live. Everything in this is dangerous. Yeah, it's not making a noise. Neither LED is lit. Well, we don't have any power because we don't have a power switch. So we're going to have to bypass that. So let's see if we bypass this power switch. And then that should jump. Yeah, that's the active wire to there. That side, it just goes into the filter. The neutral, the active, yeah. Let's make some jumper wires here. Careful not to short anything out, and careful not to touch anything. Oh yeah, the protection light is actually on. LED, it goes to neutral, or neutral via that thing. One thing I didn't check, do we have outputs on this thing? $232 volts there. 230 volts there, so it's got voltage there. Let's test it, I guess. Do we just get a resistance right through? That's neutral. Good. Active, good. Yeah, that should be hooked to there. Earth there. Yeah, now it's working. So all the connections are there, though I've got the earth off the board. Let's check this gas thing. Diode's good. Diode's good. All the way around, I think. And of course, all the way around. So, what's actually failed in here? There's a resistor going to open. I might just check those. Check the obvious stuff. There's another resistor there. What's that one? Seems to be open circuit, whatever it is. $100K. 100K. 100K. So it looks like this resistor's open circuit. If I look at the circuit here, that's coming from the active via part of those green devices. You've got a diode, 100K into this transistor. So let's just check, is that NPN or PNP? It'll be biasing it on or off. Yeah, it's an NPN by the look of it because we've got the positive on the base. So that must turn the transistor on here, which that side most likely, yeah, via a diode to neutral. So that, if that resistor's intact, it means the active's coming in. And it turns the transistor off, basically shorts that rail to ground, so it's just going to drop all the voltage from that diode across that resistor. And basically via that diode to ground. So there'll be some small current flow, and if it's on, then this voltage is free to go, yeah, across this capacitor and across the piezo. That's all it feeds. So I wonder if that piezo, that's probably just doesn't have a driver in it. It's probably just this crudely rectified, half-wave rectified DC is feeding it and just putting a sort of half sine wave into it, making it make that buzzing sound. That's why it's not a proper sort of oscillator sound. I reckon that's all it is. It's just a crude half-wave rectifier with piezo across it. So if we've got active there, we must have active on the rest of it. I think that resistor's just gone open circuit. I'm not sure if it's 200K, 100K, probably doesn't matter that much to be honest, but hard to tell if that band's brown or red, but they do make some weird values these days. I think it's just a brown. Let's get it out of there. Looks like red, black, yellow, so 200K I think that's meant to be. Yeah, it's definitely a red. Let's double check it out of circuit, because the amount of times you pull them out of circuit and they suddenly measure good. No, that's definitely open. So there's your built-in obsolescence right there. If it'll fit, it's probably best to put a 1 watt in there. It's going to be a bit big. I guess we've got enough room in there if we bend the pins back in a bit and mount it up off the board. I'm just going to use a 220K because that's the nearest preferred value. These old legs are getting a bit tarnished on some of these old resistors. Owned them a long time now. So I'll leave that earth off for now. Make sure we're not shorting anything. Try not to pull that out. Light's still on, but that probably just means surge protection is active, but the piezo is shut up. And let's just check, we definitely got output on this thing. I'll just use ground for convenience. Neutral. Yeah. Voltage is a little low around here, but I'll have to get over and check their transformer because we seem to be getting 230 volts these days. So that's all it was, a faulty resistor. Like a lot of these things, they're quite repairable a lot of the time. I wonder if that other one means lack of earth wire. What is the earth LED for? I guess I should see if I can find a manual for this, seeing it probably came with an enormous manual to make it look like a super complex device. So I'll have to put our power switch back in place too, but that's probably fixed it. I wonder if I can find any info on these things. EVS320D471. Is that the only thing written on them? Other side's blank. But yeah, not a lot of value for your money. Yeah, they're showing them with like the same MOV symbol. So let's see, you got ground there, but how are they connected to ground? Only via this gas thing. Then it goes to a pin on the second of those devices, which would make sense if that device is just MOVs. It's probably got a gas discharge so they don't instantly go to ground maybe. Has to be more of a surge or something. Not sure what their normal trigger voltage is, but that's possibly to alter the... But I would assume these devices just contain... We can almost see the leads come up one side and probably stuck on the other, so they're just MOVs, I think. That's just a twin metal oxide varistor in a fancy case, probably. Again, they might have had them specially made because you don't want someone to open up your $200 monster thing and see it's got a couple of $10... Well, I don't think they're even $10. I forget what they used to cost. Maybe about $6 each. They're probably different these days. They're probably cheaper these days. But you've got a couple of... Normally it'd just be a round blue thing or a round grey thing. And that's all that is, I think. I doubt there's any connection between anything else. Yeah, so all we've basically got is each line comes in through a thermal fuse, or it looks to be a thermal fuse. They're a short circuit. These double MOV pack things are in parallel. So it's just neutral to this central pad, active to this central pad. Then it looks like another thermal, or a tubular type resistor looking thermal fuse there. And then that gas discharge thing to ground. So if a really bad thing hits, I guess it's to stop it maybe blowing up big time. But it's going to pop the fuses, and this thing's going to be useless the second time, which must be what that's for. Gotcha. So this just has a slightly different path to ground, including a fuse and a gas discharge device. But if a surge hits this thing, either the neutral side or the active side is going to be short to ground. These metal oxide resistors will go low value. They basically liquefy inside, if I remember rightly, which turns them into just like liquid metal, I guess, or something. Low resistance. It's going to blow that thermal fuse or that thermal fuse. If you get a bad one, it'll probably blow both of them straight away. So I guess these are similar to like in a TV or something that's got one fuse. But yeah, once those fuses are gone, this thing's dead. It's not protecting anything. It's open circuit on one of the legs. I guess potentially the other leg could still work if they're not both open circuit, and that means there's no active. If that fuse is blown, so we don't know if the neutral one's blown, but if the active blows, we lose our voltage to the transistor and that buzzer comes on. But in this case, we just had a resistor went open circuit from sitting across the mains and feeding that transistor to turn it on all that time, so slight current, but it's got a large sort of voltage drop across it, because you basically only got 0.6 volts through the transistor, 0.6 volts through the diode, and that's just been sitting basically across, dropping the best part of 240 volts, or for the best part of around 15 years, so it's not too bad a lifespan. But then 15 years of doing nothing basically, and it fails. Not the best. But that's what it is. They're just double MOV type devices, they must be, and for some reason here they got that gas discharge. So maybe so it doesn't trigger on lower voltages or something. It's got to overcome the... Well, that'll be on the secondary side. So if they're a short circuit here, that will need a certain higher voltage to set it off. It's got R6, 2R600 or something. I wonder if it's a 600 volt, which is quite high for a 240 volt line, but maybe. So I think this LED should just be... That's the active going to our line. So it is a power on indicator by the look of it. It comes through a link from active. Yes, we've got active out of these MOVs into our bus bar here for all the actives. Then we've got an active back in. Why they use such a large cable for that, but one side of it through a link. Why on earth do they have a link there? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, because possibly you can put something in there. TP4, whatever that used to be. Yeah, there's no MOV on it. And is it just here through a diode, through a 100k resistor, and into our LED. So that's a power on indicator as long as there's power on this, not necessarily just power on there. So if this thing's blown, so that's, I guess, an indicator that this thing's got a faulty resistor, because if the fuse is blown, that'll be buzzing and that'll be off. If that LED's still lit, then it's just the circuitry running the buzzer that's faulty. And this other one is a ground, so this must go from active to ground. I guess we've got the same active comes in, through another diode, through another resistor, feeds into a transistor this time though. And that transistor has on its base another resistor. I should really draw the circuit, I guess, and another one. They go through a black wire back to ground, I think. So what do they need? Why don't they just run it straight to ground? Ah, we've got a Zener diode as well. Didn't spot that before. So there's a Zener diode. That feeds the LED. The transistor's connected to neutral as well. And the earth is open. Active comes through that, turns the transistor on, which will short that resistor to neutral. So maybe this should be on. I think this LED is meant to be on at the moment. But then if it was meant to be on at the moment, why wouldn't you just... 1.7 there, but this transistor's measuring a bit iffy. That's definitely not the base, is it? Yeah, 1.2 one way and find the other 0.6. Surely that's not shot. Can we safely power this up and work on it? Not easily, but... So we've got no ground, so we should have voltage there. Ooh, it's not have... Oh yeah, that'll be volts AC, won't it? About 56 of them. About 9 volts into the transistor, which is also hooked to neutral. So that would suggest that is well and truly open circuit, that base junction. I've only got 2 volts there because shouldn't that have full voltage? 126 in. Well, that's going to be the voltage. No, that does make sense actually. Oh, it depends what that Zener diode is, but that's roughly the forward voltage drop of the LED we've got. But if that transistor turns on, That's going to pull that to ground. That should be lit, surely. So possibly the LED's burnt out. But also the junction of that transistor seems to be shot. So it faces up that way. .6 is good. Yeah, 1.2, unless it's a Darlington or something. I don't know if that'll work in there. Let's put it in and... I'm not saying it's good. Well, that's saying, yeah, 1.22 volts. KSP 13. KSP 13. It is a Darlington. Oh, it's just the right length, that one. Well, there you have it. It was actually a faulty LED. That one's not real bright either. Well, probably hasn't got a lot going into it, but it does indicate there is a ground. So in that case, they could have surely just put it straight across to the ground. I mean, they resist that diode resistor, and now maybe it's kind of illegal to run a current down the ground, I guess. Well, it might trip some earth leakage breakers, which could be a problem. So that's about the only reason you couldn't just hook it to ground. In theory, you could just run it to ground. Only a tiny amount of current there. But I guess that's one thing, it would cause an earth imbalance from active back out through the earth rather than out through the neutral, and your earth leakage breaker would trip. But that LED's just basically burnt out from being on for 15 years or whatever lifespan this thing had. But it should be on all the time by the look of it, that LED. So I think we can just put that back together. But I notice the other one's quite dim. Oh, we better put our fiberglass cover back on, which is why I had that earth wire off, wasn't it? Damn it. That's another reason I need to undo it again. Can I fit that in without taking that off? I think we probably can. That's it. Yeah. There you have it, and a couple of screws to put back in there somewhere. bit hard to see those LEDs. That new one I put in there is not coming up as good as even the old one. But they're definitely lit. Doubt anyone took any notice anyway. Yes, it is protection on. And it's Earth, so it's quite a good idea having an Earth light. Because basically this thing's useless without an Earth, because that's what it shorts all of the surges to. Well, all the surges, if it ever sees a surge, which is very rare, unless, like I say, someone crashes their car on a power pole, or a bit of roofing iron hits it in the wind or something, or someone drops a tree, or nature drops a tree on it and pushes the high voltage onto the low voltage lines, because often you'll have high voltage upper lines, then your transformer, and some transformers, they run the wires, lower wires back between poles to various houses. And in other cases, you just get a few of those twisted insulated wires that go off to each house. So there's no real chance of, or very unlikely that the high voltage lines they could possibly hit the transformer somewhere, I guess. But normally there's no problem. Then it's usually when there's two sets of lines, a lower and a higher, and something pushes the higher, which could be 30 kV or something, onto your what are basically 240 volt lines below. And these are actually good in that sort of situation. Possibly they could save you from a lightning strike. At least there's probably something in that. I'm not going to pull that all to bits, but probably in the TV antenna, they are definitely prone to at least high static voltages and stuff from nearby lightning strikes. Disappointing that the phone doesn't have anything, because that is the one thing that will... I mean, I've lost more stuff from phone lines getting hit and had more problems having to get Telstra to fix them and stuff. Even though they're underground phone lines, they seem to get hit more than above ground ones. And I forgot to unplug my computer one night, back when it was an old desktop thing, or tower case, whatever it was, and it blew my modem card up overnight from a lightning storm. No other damage, but it just killed the modem card. So just a bit of induced voltage or whatever, probably not a direct strike, but of course if it hits the ground, the whole ground potential can rise up around the lightning strike, and that can get into your cables. Sometimes it can be induced into them, I think, electromagnetically sort of thing. But anyway, we've got a super fancy power board now. Looks like one, I might have to remove that one. That's a shame, because they've used one of those screws on the cable clamp side of it. Possibly a bit of purposeful sabotage there, because that is the one part you would want to get back, is these two screws. I'm actually going to break that off. If I can unscrew that one, that's of course one of the ones that sunk right in. But that means it's possibly redeemable. We can just cut the top off the mount, bend back the molten bit. If I can get that screw out, then I can put a fresh Phillips in there, and at least we can clamp the cable and make it safe. Not that I really intend to use this or anything, but just to see if we can beat the system, basically. Oh, actually, that melted bit should be the upper part. That it shouldn't actually be part of the bit that the screw's going into. The post as such, it should be part of the upper case. There's enough plastic still there, I think, that you could actually, that'll hold a screw. So, not the best thing to do to your cutters, but you don't squeeze too hard, you don't need to. But if I could put two Phillips screws either side, that would technically make this thing fairly safe. But you certainly couldn't sell it as new anymore. It's not going to meet the safety requirements. But I hate seeing these things that are quite expensive just being a sort of throwaway thing, when it can be fixed relatively easily and cheaply if it's only labour going into it. And I've been messing around with this one quite a bit longer than I should have, just to get an idea what's actually in there. So if I get rid of that, make sure our circuit breaker's in place. Is this sitting properly? I think it's right. We don't want to be squashing any cables or anything. Gee, we really need a screw here, because we've taken that one right out. Yeah, that's clamped nice and tight. And we should have enough. I'm going to have to find a couple more screws, I guess. Yeah, with one down, it's only really one on this side, it's not ideal, but pretty much as good as new if you give it a bit of a dust out, although I don't think anyone's going to use the phone thing. I forgot I was going to look at that phone quick. Oh, there's one more there. Oh, that's pretty good. So there's one in the middle. That's going to be pretty solid. You're not going to break that open anytime soon. Now we do have a couple of dodgy holes. That I don't think's near anything. That one I can see an earth wire in there. What I would do is just probably would do it before you put it back together, is just put some big blobs of silicone or something in there, smear it around the inside a bit as well, so that they can't be pushed out easily, so they're well and truly silicone, or even something more glue-like that can't be pushed out, and it'll seal that up, and that would be perfectly safe to use then, really. Oh, except for my drill hole in the front. Yeah, so just a worn out LED, we'll better chuck that in the bin before I think it's a good one. Those old mounts can go. And that'll give it new life again. So it hadn't failed for any good reason. If you've got some expensive equipment, in some ways it doesn't hurt to have something like this. Though the cheaper boards with surge protection probably do pretty much everything this does. But the only extra feature I like on this is the fact that it tells you whether there's an earth or not. But very rare, unless you've got a dodgy homemade extension cord or something, that you're ever going to be without an earth. But anyway, interesting to look at, something a bit different. Always wondered whether they actually put much in there, but it is pretty much what I expected. A little basic line filter and some MOVs to ground, and that's about it. This has just got those added power on and earth thing, but that's more for their sake, really. Obviously they won't work without an earth, and the protection on light and that buzzer sort of tied up to whether this thing's been hit by a surge and blown the fuses in there. Because if the fuses are blown, one way or another, you'll get buzzer and power light out, or buzzer on and power light out. Or you may not get the buzzer, but I think you'll get the power light out, because it'll go through the neutral if that side gets blown and not the other one. But in this case, we just had a fault indicator in this one, because it had lost its voltage, because the resistor feeding it had gone open circuit after sitting across the mains for so long and dropping a lot of voltage. And that's what resistors will sometimes do in that situation. Not an ideal circuit design, really, but you know, the cynic in me sort of thinks that's probably what they wanted, because sooner or later it's going to fail, more than likely, and that's the end of this device, and they hopefully get to sell you a new one. But yeah, so it's just receiver, CD, DVR, TV monitor, accessories, DVD, set cable. Yeah, so it just doesn't really matter what you plug in where. I guess the one good thing about this is it's just an expensive labelling system, I guess. So if you've got all those devices in your home theatre or whatever, at least if they're plugged in. But of course, for a few dollars you can buy labels to put on each cord anyway, which is probably the better way to do it. Because if you do unplug everything, guess what? You won't know what all the plugs are when you go to put them back into this thing anyway. So yeah, a bit of one of those overrated products, I think. But it certainly doesn't hurt to have some sort of surge protection. But the cheap ones would basically do the same job. This has got, of course, your fake monster cable, extra thick plastic on the thing. Monster cable, high current AC power cable. And to be fair, it is quite a decent bit of wire in there. Yeah, 1.5mm square. So bigger than usual, but the circuit breaker will cut out at 10 amps. Your power point's not rated for more than 10 amps, so if it's got like a 15 amp cord on it, it's just big and thick and a pain, really, and you're paying for extra copper you don't need and will never use. So no point in that at all. Just another monster cable gimmick. And I actually had to show my friend that in between the monster cable going to your speakers, inside the speaker box is only, you know, tiny little bit of wire like this. Clip lead or something. Anyway, I had to fix one of his speakers because he turned his amp on at full volume accidentally and blew something in one of the surround speakers. And while I had it out, I said, look, here's your wire that your speaker's plugged into. The voice coil's even thinner. And of course, inside the amplifier, it's circuit board tracks. So if you're worried about a bit of resistance loss in your speaker lines, then just turn up the volume slightly and use a smaller cable. Certainly doesn't hurt to use, the sort of like 1mm squared or something that's in this type of stuff, a bit of figure 8 power cable type stuff. But anything bigger than that, unless you're running an AC/DC rock concert or something, is completely pointless. And like a lot of this monster stuff, it's just aimed at getting a bit more money out of you. Probably some fake gold on the pins there as well. Some of it's wearing off by the look of it. And yeah, oh well, that's working again. It's a bit rough. I'll see if I can find someone who can use it. Maybe someone who needs, 7 outlets. That's about all it is good for, really, is a good, nice 7 outlet power board. Other than that, not a lot of use really. And I might, just squirt some silicone in there to block those up, to make it so no one can, it's too small to fit a finger in, but I guess a little kitty finger. There is a standard, I think, is it part of the IP ratings? Include not just waterproof or the like, but also what you can poke into things in the physical sense, like fingers and different things. But anyway, it was an interesting one to look at. Interesting to see what's inside it. Would have been quite a quick fix if you could have got the screws out of it and you weren't really poking around to see what else was in there. Sort of 10-minute job normally. But interesting to see what some of the extra circuitry is in there for. So, thanks for watching.